Good morning, and thanks for joining us on this Great Western Exploration Investor webinar. I'm Paul Armstrong from Reed Corporate. The timing of this webinar is pretty well perfect. The copper price has just hit an 11-month high of more than 9,000 US dollars a tonne, and it suggests that it may be about to meet some of those widespread bullish expectations of many forecasters. Earlier this week, Citi and Goldman's joined those publishing some very upbeat predictions on the copper price, tipping it to run hard on a combination of supply challenges and growing demand. So it's great timing for Great Western in this webinar. The company offers some of the most leveraged exposure to the copper theme on the ASX. It's about to drill two compelling copper targets near Meekatharra in WA. Geophysics and sampling shows these targets share many of the same characteristics as Sandfire's world-class Tagrusa deposit nearby. Great Western's also about to drill two very big copper targets known as Oval and Oval South, not far from the original targets in WA as well. These have the potential to be absolute company makers, as they say, life-changing events. So Shane Pike, the Managing Director, is about to give us an update on these various targets and the drilling plans. If you have any questions, Shane's happy to take those. Please click on the Q&A tab on the side of your screen, and I'll put those to Shane on your behalf at the end of the presentation. Over to you, Shane.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for listening in on what we're doing at Great Western. We're pretty excited about our programs coming up. To put it bluntly and perhaps boldly, we're looking to make a once-in-a-decade discovery. There hasn't been a stack of copper gold discoveries, world-class ones in the last decade, and probably not in the last 20 years. We've worked really hard to get to this point, and these tier one targets that we're going to be drilling in the next couple of months, we're really excited to be completing these programs. Disclaimer there. Okay, a couple of key things that I'd like everyone to take away from this presentation. And I'll start first with our board management, very experienced. Kevin Soames is our chairman. He's a 50-year veteran of the industry, chartered accountant. Myself as managing director, I'm a geologist. I've been in the industry for over 25 years. I've got a 50-50 mix of both exploration and mine geology. I started my career with a company, Equigold, Nick Georgetta's Equigold, which spawned out a lot of successful companies and people in its own right. I was with them for many years, worked with such companies as Newcrest. I was with Evolution Mining for many years as well, as geology manager on a couple of their projects, ending up as Eastern Australian exploration manager. Ross Williams, one of our non-execs. Ross was one of the founders of Macca, one of Australia's largest earth-moving companies before being taken by Thiess. Gray Warburton, mergers and acquisitions specialist, very experienced in mining finance. And Tony Walsh, our company secretary. Previously, Tony headed up the ASX listings office in Perth there. Now we're a little bit different with Great Western in that our tier one targets that we have isn't ordinary found in junior exploration companies' portfolios such as ours, and certainly not one with the market capitalisation that we have. We have really low corporate overheads. We put over 70% of our funds into the ground, and part of the ways that we do that is our non-executive directors, for instance, don't get paid in any way. They're major shareholders, but for their services, they don't get paid in cash, shares, options in any way. And there's probably only a handful on the ASX that can claim the same. We've got a strong cash position. We're funded for the exploration programs that we've got coming up that I'll talk to. And we've got a very supportive cornerstone shareholder base. Many of our cornerstone shareholders, most of them you'll know. They're chair people, managing directors of some of Australia's largest ASX listed companies, technical professionals, and very supportive of what we're doing. Now, we have a large number, a deep well of targets that in our portfolio. But the next few months, we're going to be focusing on two. The Fairburn project, copper project, where we're looking for DeGrussa style volcanic hosted massive sulfide targets. We're looking to go and drill late this month. And Oval South, this is our giant. We're looking for Winu style intrusive related copper gold targets. Now, Winu isn't that well known, but it is truly world class. It sits in Rio Tinto's stable of projects. It has a current resource of 2.8 million tonnes of copper and 7.8 million ounces of gold, and it's open in all directions. Now, we're going to be drilling these in the next few months, and either one of them could be company makers in their own right, and we have two of them. So I'm going to start with Fairburn. Now, Fairburn is remote. It's 900 kilometres northeast of Perth, and not a lot of exploration is being completed here, except for exploration for diamonds, looking for kimberlites in the late 90s. We completed an airborne electromagnetic survey over this area, and that identified 8 targets. Now, ordinarily, most companies would go in there and maybe justified to go drill each of these 8 targets, but we bring technical rigor to all of our projects. They need to be able to stand on their own 2 feet. They've got to be worthy of our time and the funds that we put in. So we went up there, we completed it, we sent a team out there to complete a ground electromagnetic survey to further refine this. This team pulled cable up and over the sand dunes in this area, and what that data showed, that was processed by New Exco, our geophysical consultants. They came up with 3 exciting targets that we interpret are DeGrussa style volcanic hosted massive sulfide or VHMS style targets. Now, what we're trying to emulate here is what Samphire Resources did when they discovered DeGrussa 14 years ago. Prior to the discovery of DeGrussa, their share price was 8 to 9 cents. After that discovery of DeGrussa, their share price was propelled to a peak of $8.30 with a market capitalization of 2.7 million. And that's what we're trying to do here. So why do we think that this is a DeGrussa style target? The top left box there, that's a conductor at surface there, in amongst the government map geology that we confirmed. Now, what we were looking for here, we're looking for an old seafloor that has a volcanic vent that pumps out sulfide onto the seafloor, that then settles, and then most importantly gets preserved. Now, we went up into this area. We wanted to put a bit more meat on the bone here. We mapped the geology here. We confirmed the government mapping geology, confirmed the prospectivity for a VHMS style deposit. But most importantly, we mapped a volcanic unit that hasn't previously been mapped at all, that returned anomalous copper and gold. And what that suggested to us is that this volcanic unit, the position at surface, is just outboard of a DeGrussa style VHMS deposit that the conductors are mapping at depth. So if you look on the right hand side there, the bottom box here, that dotted box is where we think we've mapped at surface. The green is the volcanic that previously has been undocumented, mixed up amongst the sediments. So we think we're just outboard of a DeGrussa style volcanic hosted massive sulfide deposit. That conductor, which you see here, this is a cross section of DeGrussa. We think that conductor is mapping massive sulfide mineralization at depth, very similar to DeGrussa. And we're looking to go drill this in late March. We're watching our current weather events, but we're aiming to go and drill this late this month. From that, we'll move to Oval South. And as I said before, we're looking for true monsters here. We're looking for a Winu, that 2.8 million tonnes of copper, 7.8 million ounces of gold. We're looking for that style of deposit here. And we'll go into why we think we've got something very similar at Oval. Funnily enough, Rio Tinto actually defined Oval back in the late 90s within the Urita Basin. They were looking for large copper and nickel targets. They were actually looking for a Winu before they knew they had a Winu on their books back in the late 90s. They flew an aero electromagnetic survey through this area, and Oval popped up as a conductive high, and it was their priority one target. Now, the geophysical technique that they used at the time is a bit of an outdated technique now. It's called Tempest. It maps near-surface conductors quite well, but when the conductors become a bit deeper or within geological rocks that you see at Oval, the definition of where that conductor is in depth becomes a little hazy. Now, Rio drilled this target with the data that they had. They drilled a hole down to 232 meters, and the geologist on the rig at the time noted near the end of the hole that there was siltstone and, most importantly, interbedded shale units. And these shale units can often show false anomalies. They intersected this geology, and geologists, quite rightly at the time, concluded that these interbedded shale units was providing a false anomaly, and they walked away from the project. Now, Oval and Oval South sat dormant for almost a decade until Great Western picked this ground up as a very large ground package to commence preliminary work. And part of that work that they completed was a VTEM survey, which can better define conductors in depth and, most importantly, within the geology that you find in the Ureter Basin. Now, because of the size of the tenure here and the work that needed to be done, Great Western entered into a joint venture with Sandfire Resources, who continued this work. One of the things that they noted was that the VTEM conductor, or the VTEM data, showed that the conductor that Rio had drilled was actually 70 meters below the termination of this drill hole. They were quite excited about this target. They put the geology together, the design drill holes, they started the permitting process, really excited about it. But DeGrussa went into care and maintenance. They were building their Botswana project, and they'd just picked up Matcha in Spain, and they were effectively operating over 3 continents. They were stretched, and they withdrew from exploration within Australia completely. They withdrew from our project, handed it back to us 100%, no strings attached. And this was after they spent $4.5 million on exploration. They did some really good work, handed this project back to us. So we're riding on the back of really good work completed by Rio and Sandfire Resources. So why are we so excited about Oval? This cross section here is a VTEM data. This is a data that Rio Tinto did not have. Now the Rio drilled hole is in black there, and the conductor, as you can see, is below it in red there, just 70 meters below surface. Now that green unit, that green in the image there, probably is the siltstone and shales that Rio geologists thought was providing the conductor, but they didn't test the conductor at depth. And if they had this data, they would have continued this drill hole. We wouldn't be talking about this with you all today. But it's one thing to have a EM anomaly. All big deposits usually have a key list of ingredients, coincident geological attributes that make them what they are. Some of the work that Sandfire did, and they did some really great work, was that they flew a fairly expensive gravity airborne survey. Now that survey, what that found and what got them quite excited was that there was a gravity high that fit perfectly over the electromagnetic anomalism. So the VTEM anomaly, Oval South in the top right picture there, and the gravity anomaly down below, gravity sits perfectly over the top. And why this is important, the EM is showing that there's rocks that are conductive. Gravity is saying that they're highly dense. We interpret that this represents metal-rich sulfide mineralization that has yet been untested. And like Winu, very, very similar geophysical and geological attributes as Winu. Like Winu, there's a magnetic anomaly that sits just off the side. Now at Winu, that's buried intrusive, and we interpret like Winu that this provided the fluids, metal-rich fluids, and a heat source, and effectively the engine for a mineralisation system. Like Winu, there's favourable stratigraphy of the Irida Basin. There's sandstone, carbonate units, siltstones, units that can, with ascending metal-rich fluids, can trap these fluids, pull out the copper and gold, and potentially form economic zones, massive copper and gold accumulations. And probably most importantly, and another big tick here, is the position of Oval and Oval South on the Ida fault that's cross-cut by the Irida Basin Grove fault. The Ida fault is a crustal scale feature. It goes from one end of the Yilgarn to the other. It's over 500 kilometres long. It has proven metal endowment. It has big deposits like Mount Keith, Perseverance nickel deposits, big world-class deposits, Davyhurst gold, even DeGrussa and Monte copper deposits are found along its length. And what that tells us is that this fault has tapped the mantle and allowed metal-rich fluids to ascend. And most importantly, for Oval and Oval South, it's cross-cut by the Irida Basin Growth Fault. This is an interpreted Geoscience Australia fault that we can see in our own data we agree with. And we interpret that this is focused the fluids that's provide this anomaly, and why we think there's a potential colossal discovery to be made here, very similar to the Winu intrusive related copper gold discovery. Now we're looking to drill this in May after the Fairburn drilling has been completed. Okay, so in summary, we've got really exciting tier 1 projects that we're going to be drilling in the next few months. We'll start with Fairburn Copper Project. We're looking to put a drill hole in each one of those conductors, those three conductors there. And if we get successful there, we'll just keep drilling. These styles of deposits are often found in clusters. We'd take one DeGrussa, the 3 is better, right? After that, in May, we're going to be drilling Oval and Oval South, big Winu style intrusive ray copper gold targets. Now look, there isn't a larger target that anyone will be drilling this year. That's how big it is. And if either of these two come in, they're company makers in their own right. And the potential impact on the share price, if they come in, will be enormous. Now look, no discovery is guaranteed, but as I said, if either of these come in, it will provide a massive uplift in the share price. That's what we think, and I think everyone should have just a little bit of Great Western. We've worked really hard to get to this point. We're really excited about these programs coming up, and everyone else should be as well.
Great. Shane, thanks very much. There are a couple of questions. I'll summarise 2 or 3 of them in one go, Shane. It sounds like a few people want to get a little bit more detail on the Fairburn drilling. What is the plan? And you did mention that 1 hole at each target, but it sounds flexible. One viewer has asked, is this a flexible program or is it fixed? Can you take us through that in any detail?
Yeah, look, it certainly absolutely flexible. We're going to put 1 drill hole into each one of those conductors, as I said. These holes are going to be between 250 to 350 meters deep. But if we get some color in the core, if we get some interesting rocks, if we think we're in one of these systems, we've got the permitting, we've got holes designed to continue drilling. We'll just keep drilling these holes, up, below, along strike. We've got plenty of flexibility there.
How many holes do you think you might do there in total? And would you move that rig onto Winu?
Yeah, to Oval. Yeah, look, we'll drill 3 holes there at Fairburn to start off with, and see what we come up with. Then sometime after that, in May, we'll go and drill the Oval targets. Now we'll go and drill 2 holes each in Oval and Oval South. So 4 holes in total is what we're planning, down to 600 meters. And what we're planning to do, because these conductors at Oval, they're large, they're 3Ks by 3Ks. We'll have a downhole, electromagnetic survey crew ready to complete downhole work. As soon as that bit comes out, we're going to be doing downhole stuff to help us with our targeting, help us with our modelling. So as I said, May, we'll get this work completed with the downhole EM as well.
Another viewer, Shane, asked, what is the cash at bank position as at today?
As well, as at the end of the quarter, December quarter, we had 3.8 million, and that includes our last lot of capital raising, which we finalised, our tranche 2 capital raise, which we finalised mid-January. So we're funded for both these programs coming up.
Right. And can you take us through the share register? How does that look, top 20, etc.?
Yeah, look, our top 20 own just over 50% of our stock, and the top 50 is probably closer to 85% of our stock. That's we've had significant trading volumes since mid-January, so that's likely to change going forward. But look, really supportive Cornerstone shareholders, and we're seeing that volume now as well.
You've answered part of this question, but I'll put it to you anyway. Is the drilling campaign fully funded, and would you consider farming out some of these interests?
Yeah, look, really good question. Yeah, look, fully funded. No, I'm a bit greedy in that way, and I think our shareholders should be too. We want this to ourselves. With the prize that's on the table, if we were to make a discovery like Winu at Oval, for instance, we want that all to ourselves. Sure, the joint venture option's always there, but potentially you're giving away quite a bit depending on the terms. So at this stage, we're taking it forward by ourselves.
At Winu, will you drill your own holes, or will you continue or extend the Rio holes?
Yeah, that was one of the first things that we and the team went and had a look at. The easy thing to do would be to re-enter the old Rio drill hole, and when we understood the prize that was on the table here, we raced up there and had a look to try and find the Rio hole. We actually found the pad, funnily enough, but the collar of the hole to go and re-enter was rehabilitated, which is a little bit strange for a hole that was drilled early 2000s. But unfortunately, that's not an option, so we'll have to re-drill the hole, which is fine.
Right, and one more question. I think this is it, Shane. You say you'll drill each of those targets at Winu. Is that just one hole each, or do you plan to drill more?
Yeah, look, we'll drill 2 at both Oval and Oval South, but it depends what we get in the drilling as well. We're constantly modelling, we're constantly reinterpreting. There is some other interesting things falling out of that, and like I said, Oval itself is the conductor there is 3Ks by 3Ks, so there's provision to certainly go drill other parts of that, depending on the modelling and the extra data that we get from this drilling. Great.
Shane, that concludes the questions and the webinar. Thanks very much for your time. It sounds like we're in for a period of immense activity, news flow, potentially company making holes, to say the least. So we'll follow it closely and maybe look at doing another webinar in the next month or two.
Thanks very much, Paul. I can't really think of another set of programs in my career that I've been excited about. So I'm happy everyone got to listen to the story. I'm sure everyone's excited as I am, and I'm looking forward to what these exploration programs are going to give Great Western.
Thanks very much, Shane.
Thank you.